All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Three Rivers Broadcasting Sports Report. I'm Alex Fidrashevsky. That's Andrew Fidrashevsky, the CEO. The boss is in the house today to talk sports. Coach Krzyzewski, he's got practice going on down at McGuffey. They're gearing up for girls basketball season in a big way down there in Westmoreland County. So we want to wish him and the team all the best. He'll be here probably next week. He'll be back. But again, we got to get it in before we go on kind of Thanksgiving vacation.
I hear you, Alex. Thanks for inviting me into the station today and go over a lot of the interesting items and happenings in the Pittsburgh sports scene.
Yeah, it's, listen, the last week's program, anyone who saw it, this was not necessarily the happiest time for Coach Krzyzewski and I. It was beat on Pitt, beat on the Steelers, beat on Pitt basketball, beat on Duquesne. Oh. It was just not a good week. The Penguins, it's just like anything that could go wrong in the last week or so in Pittsburgh sports did. The Steelers this past weekend lose a close one to the Chargers that really wasn't, they got within 4 points, so you could say the Chargers almost gave it away. But, when you're down, what was it? It's 27-10 going to the fourth quarter. You're already playing catch up, and that's difficult to come back from.
Yeah, I agree. They fell way behind, even though they had a 27-point fourth quarter. It's really difficult to come back from a 3 or 4 touchdown deficit, and they came so close. Boswell didn't miss any field goals. Ben Roethlisberger had a great, fourth quarter and rallying the team. But defensively, they had a lot of lapses. You let someone score 41 points on you. Especially after the week before where they tied the Lions, and a little disappointing. They could have had 2 victories here. Instead, they wound up with a loss and a tie. So Steelers need to have a lot of work. A huge game with the Bengals this weekend in Cincinnati, and
it is
really a big game. I mean, the Steelers really have
they need it.
They're 6-point underdog right now. Cincinnati with Joe Burrow is top-notch quarterback, one of the great young quarterbacks in the NFL, former Heisman Trophy winner, headed against the Steelers, and we'll see if Ben can pull some magic out of his bag of tricks and beat the tough Cincinnati Bengals.
Statistically, he didn't have a bad game.
No,
28 no interceptions, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, in the fourth quarter, the Steelers, to their credit, in the fourth quarter, 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. They took the lead late, just couldn't hold on to it. But again, as we've seen with the Steelers this year, the defense lets them down again, which for so long was. And we're not from Pittsburgh,
not from Pittsburgh.
Giants, New York Giants lifer over here, and
sorry to hear that.
Listen, no, but the everything, even just growing up, I wasn't a huge NFL fan. I know you watched the Giants a lot on the weekends, but everything you heard about was the steel curtain, the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers was what they prided themselves on, and you're coughing up 41 points now.
Yeah, I went to Three Rivers for many a game when I was in college up, and it was defense. It was Mean Joe Green. It was those great linebackers, Lambert and Jack Ham, and. But for years they had a great defense, and Mike Tomlin's done a tremendous job with this team. It's just a matter of there's going to have to be some transitions made, some decisions made about the future, and how long Ben Roethlisberger can still play. And he's getting up there in age, and we all know that age catches up with you. And
unless you're Tom Brady,
but Ben Roethlisberger's done a tremendous job playing. But one of these days, as we saw last couple of years, Drew Brees retired. Some other quarterbacks, Eli Manning's out. A lot of these guys probably thought they could get another couple of years in them. You're seeing it with Matt Ryan in Atlanta where, it's catching up with him. So the game is changing. The type of quarterback is changing. And Ben Roethlisberger's up there in age, can't scamper out like he used to, get out and run. So, Pittsburgh has to make some decisions. The Steelers have to make some decisions going forward in terms of offense and really shore up the defense.
They have to, and one of the topics that we've talked about, I'm sure you've heard us talk about it, and now even the mainstream kind of Pittsburgh sports media has talked about is linebacker Devin Bush, who's been given he got this big guaranteed contract and he just hasn't lived up to what they needed him to do. He's getting caught going the wrong way, and they've got to. There's now articles that are being printed here in Pittsburgh about, who's going to be a free agent that they could bring in to push him and challenge him, and this is a guy who's on a guaranteed contract.
Well, you need some, the free agency's the way to go these days. Building through the draft isn't that easy, and the Steelers Steelers, where they wind up every year, get them a mid-level first-round draft pick.
Yeah, at worst.
At worst.
Sometimes you're talking picking 26, 27
so,
if they're on a good year.
Free agency's the way to go, and we'll see what happens after this week. It'll be an interesting week. I'm sure you and Coach Kurzofsky will have some comments after this huge game with the Bengals this weekend.
Probably going to Skype you in. You'll be one of our guests. We'll have four. Andy's going to have to make a 4-person chat for the Steelers here that we'll have up on our graphic. We'll have Joey the Truth, you, and me and him.
I'm a big Pittsburgh sports fan. I like the teams out here in Pittsburgh. Even though I'm a Jersey guy, Pittsburgh is my second sports city, and I've always loved the Steelers.
Spent a lot of time in Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so good luck to the Steelers. Hope you step up and surprise everybody. And in my office football pool, I'm probably going to take the Steelers to cover this week. +6.
Well, there you go. So you're getting your gambling side in here as well. We even give you some of the odds here at Three Rivers Broadcasting every now and then. Steelers need to shore up the offensive line, but I think that's something everybody knew was coming. That guys like Pouncey, they weren't going to be here forever, and now you're starting to see that change. Najee Harris, who's I think going to be a very good running back.
Right.
The line just has to come together to get a little better run blocking, but. The Steelers are, and Andy kind of posed this question, and as an out-of-towner, I'll ask it to you, and then we'll take a quick break and move on to Pitt.
Right.
With where the Steelers are now at 5-4-1, you've given away now 2 games in a row. If you lose to the Bengals this week, the odds of making the playoffs are slim to none.
Yeah.
And what he had said is, do you try to go the other way? It was almost like how Indianapolis, everybody was quote, they did the quote, the ESPN suck for luck kind of thing and try to go 0-16, or do you try to play it out and hope that, say, Kenny Pickett's available at number 14?
Kenny Pickett's going to be available at number 1 the way it's going right now to the Detroit Lions.
The way he's playing this year and leading Pitt.
Oh, he's not staying here. There's no way he's dropping to 14. It's impossible.
So that's it then, for the Steelers. Do you play it out or you go for a pick? I think, I don't, I understood why Indianapolis did that, where it was like, let's lay it down and get luck. But yeah, I don't know, and even with Pickett, I don't know if he's a 20-year quarterback.
Kenny Pickett's a big time. Is going to be in the NFL for a while. I think he's a big, strong kid, and
the best quarterback available.
He's the best quarterback available, I think, by far this year.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's a miles difference.
Yeah, it's a miles difference in terms of his talent and the teams that he's played and how well he's played this year. But the Steelers are not Kenny Pickett. I got bad news for you.
Well, everybody's hopeful, but let's take a quick pause for the cause. And then speaking of Kenny Pickett, we'll talk about a little bit of the Pitt football season.
Are you looking for a job that can turn into a career? If so, why don't you hit the road with Waste Management? Waste Management is hiring experienced and entry-level CDL truck drivers and technicians. If you're at least 18 years of age, come join our growing team and get up to a $7,000 sign-on bonus based on experience. WM offers competitive pay and industry-leading benefits, including tuition reimbursement for yourself and dependents. Start your tomorrow today. Visit WM online at careers.wm.com. Protect yours and provide for others with the Polish Falcons of America. If you could get great life insurance and make an impact in your community, why wouldn't you? You can do both by choosing the Polish Falcons of America. The PFA provides life insurance and financial services while also giving back to the people we serve by reinvesting our profits into communities. If you're thinking about life insurance, it's time to think differently. Learn more by calling 1-800-535-2071. That's 1-800-535-2071 or visiting polishfalcons.org.
We're back here on the Three Rivers Broadcasting Sports Report. Special Thanksgiving edition, obviously. So we are, if you're watching us on Wednesday night, we are pre-recorded, and it's only going to be about a 30-minute show here. Family all getting together, and, Coach Krzyzewski's coaching down at McGuffey right now. It was just easier for us to pre-record here. This is recorded on the 23rd, so if you're watching us on Wednesday, again, we're not live right now, but if you're watching us here on the 23rd on Three Rivers Broadcasting, we are live. So we're going to talk a little bit right now about Pitt football, because we had kind of transitioned to speaking about Kenny Pickett. And Pat Narduzzi gets his charges to win the division. So they will be going to the ACC championship game, 48-38 win last weekend against Virginia. Kenny Pickett, 26 of 41, 4 touchdowns, 340 yards. He did throw 2 picks, but again, they certainly did the job and got the win. They give up a little bit. Pitt, teams can move the ball on them, I think, but by and large, they got through what they needed to get through this year with really only one Pitt pulling a Pitt, the Western Michigan game.
Right, and congratulations to Pitt football on a tremendous season. Coach Narduzzi's done a great job. Kenny Pickett in line for a top draft pick in the United States in the NFL. But here's this is Pitt's scenario now. So if Wake Forest beats Boston College this Saturday, Wake Forest is their opponent in the ACC championship game. If Wake Forest loses, NC State could be their opponent if they beat North Carolina. Should both of them lose, Clemson, who was playing an out-of-divisional game against South Carolina, their season in ACC is over, would then be the champion in their division and would play Pitt in the final. And I would simply think that you don't want to play Clemson again.
No, yeah,
in that championship game.
I think you're right. If you're Pitt, you want to avoid Clemson. You had them at home. You beat them once, but to come back and do it again is very difficult, especially in a month.
Dabo Swinney's a heck of a coach, and they did not forget that they lost to Pitt in a tough game, and they would be quite fired up to play them. So all the teams in the ACC are good, but we'll see what happens. I mean, Wake Forest going up to Boston College is not a given against Phil Yurkovich, who's really having a pretty decent season for BC. And always that North Carolina State-North Carolina rivalry, you never know which way that goes. So, Pitt's really sitting up there trying to see how they're going to be the ACC champion, but they will wind up in a...
They should get a good bowl game regardless.
They should get in a good bowl game. If they win the ACC championship, they're in a major bowl game.
Yeah, you're talking probably New Year's Day.
New Year's Day bowl game.
I mean, that's pretty good. And from what we had seen last week, potentially Notre Dame. I mean, that's a nice way to cap off your season if you're Pitt. If you can, you end up in that type of bowl game, provided they win, of course. If not, they'll be going to the Ore-Ida frozen potato bowl or something like that. That's again, even at 9-3, 9-3 should keep them in a. Oh, that should be a reputable bowl game.
No, yeah, they've beaten some teams, but this year, the ACC is in a bit of a. The teams they've beaten are Virginia Tech. Their coach is out. Georgia Tech, we don't know what's going to happen with their coach because they've had a pretty poor year.
Poor year, yeah.
Clemson lost a lot of seniors, so they've been down. Miami really is teetering. We'll see what happens with their head coach. Duke, same thing. They're talking about
they are in
what's going on there. So
I think it's safe to say they're in the weaker of the two divisions.
They're in the weaker of the two divisions. So, but you have to still win all the games.
Yeah.
However, they've given up a lot of points to some of these weaker teams. Western Michigan scored 44. Miami scored 38.
Not that I think the Atlantic is all of that much better either, especially because Florida State's falling off.
Florida State's coming back, though. Florida State is playing much better. Syracuse is really down. Louisville and Boston College have decent seasons. I would think that this is a much tougher division than the other one, but we'll see how Pitt makes out. Kenny Pickett's had a great year,
and they've got one more game coming up at the weekend against Syracuse, and Pitt should go in there as a favorite, but it's always weird when you go into the Dome
Which will
crazy
not be
things
full
happen
on Thanksgiving weekend.
No,
everybody's going to be gone. They'll be lucky there's 20,000 people in that building.
So that should play into probably Pitt's hands.
It should.
Nothing against Pitt because no longer have a campus stadium. Pitt's used to playing in front of about 20,000 people down at Heinz Field.
Stop it! I mean, we went to some games where Pitt had some games at Heinz.
Man,
some great games there.
We went to see them play Louisville when I was in college. It was sold out. There was 60,000 people there.
So
the old Big East days, though.
Yeah, that's the old Big East days. But congratulations to Pitt on a great season.
Yeah, they did. Listen, that you can't ask for much more from them on the gridiron. Now, on the other side, however, Pitt basketball certainly not giving us much confidence, let's say. That loss to the Citadel by 15 to open the season. We knew West Virginia was going to take them apart. And then the last two games, they did win them. They did win them, but Coach Krzyzewski and I were saying that you're winning these. They beat North Carolina Wilmington 59-51, and then they beat Towson 63-59 in a game they probably shouldn't have won.
Right.
You're a middling Big South basketball program masquerading in the ACC.
Yeah.
Not a good look for them this year. Now they lost a lot of players to transfer, had their best player get hurt, and then another player get arrested. So it's just not set up to be a good year for them. Yeah. I don't think they win a game in the ACC.
No, they may win a few, but I think Coach Capel really has his work cut out for him, and you miss on a couple of recruits and you get a couple of kids leave, you're in trouble. You were seeing it happen in some schools this year. We saw it was happening with Rutgers in New Jersey. You're thinking you're getting a couple of transfers and they don't come, and you get a couple of big key 50-year seniors leave because with the transfer rule this year. Really hurts Pitt by losing some of these players. And
didn't get any.
ACC is
that's brutal.
Is brutal. Let's face it.
I mean, Duke's got the number one pick in the draft.
You got Duke, you have Carolina, typical
standard
ACC.
standard power programs
I can
there.
see them winning a few games, but it's not going to be easy.
Boston College is going to be their best shot.
Is tough.
Yeah, Boston College and maybe Virginia at home could be winnable.
Virginia's a little down, but Lamar Vanderbilt should be an interesting
tough week coming up. They should be UMBC. Should they lost? This is the team that lost to the Citadel, so should beat them. But I don't see them beating Vanderbilt or Minnesota. That's probably a 2-loss week. And then Andy and I kind of extrapolated this out into Christmas. Should beat Colgate. No, Monmouth's no guarantee.
Monmouth's not a guarantee in a tough
St. John's game.
Very
so
tough
you got
St. John's athletic team
on a weekend at 12:00 noon in Pittsburgh. As a St. John's fan, with nothing else to do a week before Christmas,
that would be a heck of a
maybe we'll be going to St. John, the St. John's Pit.
Let's see.
We're supposed to be leaving and we're supposed to leave here on the 19th. Oh, maybe on Saturday the 18th while Sarah's packing, I'll be going to watch Pitt and St. John's play. But again, rough month of December coming up here. I could see over the next 30 days, as they go into conference play, 4 to 5 losses. So you could be at 7 to 8 losses already before you get in there.
Right.
Unless they surprise against Vanderbilt or Minnesota, because I think they could lose to Monmouth. Like I said, Andy said the same last week. We think Monmouth could give them a run. And listen,
don't count Colgate out either. I mean, they're playing a decent Jacksonville team. with this transfer rule this year,
everybody got better.
Everybody got better because kids knew they could play one more year, and they all found schools who nobody was turning you down, especially these mid-majors who really could pick up a pretty decent player who left the school to go play somewhere. And you see how it all goes. I mean, Duquesne also is young, but they played some tough teams so far too.
Competitive too.
They are competitive.
Took Colorado to overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Keith Dambrot. I think he's a very good coach. We watched them play against Dayton before they shut everything down that year. They were a good ball club. He gets good players here to come to Duquesne. And again, they're a little young this year. I know he does have some offers out to some of the Pittsburgh kids right now that are coming through that are underclassmen. And I think I don't know if the kid committed yet, but I know that they have an offer to one of the players from Lincoln Park.
Got it.
So they've got I think he's trying to keep what talent is in Western Pennsylvania around. Robert Morris, another team that they're struggling a little bit this year, but stepped up and conference.
Right.
The NEC to the Horizons. That's a big difference. Yeah,
big difference. And Coach Toole's going to have his work cut out for him this year. We're trying to get that done.
It takes a while to get up to the standard when you go to a new league, and
right.
A
lot more travel.
Yes. Yeah, a lot more.
I have a feeling they'll probably beat Lancaster Bible.
I'd like to think Robert Morris will be favored in that contest against Division III Lancaster Bible.
Sorry, we're making fun of
your school.
But
hey, listen. Speaking of, Robert Morris football ended the season very well this weekend. I was at the game. Right. I like what sometimes I know they didn't. The last game was kind of just for positioning in the divisional standings, so there wasn't necessarily a lot on the line, but it made for a fun game because Robert Morris, they're coming up 4th down. It was like 4th and 9 on the 48-yard line. Coach is going for it instead of punting it. So it made for a fun game. And Elijah, man, I tell you, he came out in the second half.
Right.
First 3 carries, he got like 65 yards on 3 carries.
Elijah, I apologize. I had every intention of going to watch you play against Monmouth, but there was a severe weather alert that kept coming across my phone telling us to hide in the basement. And because the game was, there was a lot of bad weather
down at Monmouth. Yeah, that was rough.
That's a tough trip to take. Monmouth's pretty decent. Nobody lost to Kennesaw in the final of the Big South. But you guys have, Robert Morris has got stepping up. I actually like it.
I think it's great. It is. They needed to find a home if they were leaving the NEC. Big South is a good conference.
Tough conference.
And the fact, listen, Monmouth and Kennesaw are probably the 2 top dogs in that league.
Right.
And we had talked about with Andy just a little recruiting thing, and then we'll go into high school to wrap up the program. Monmouth is actually in a bit of an advantageous position.
They are.
Robert Morris, no matter what conference they're in, whether it was the NEC, the Horizon, wherever they went, they're battling Youngstown State, St. Francis, the PSAC schools, Duquesne, and the West Virginia D2s, as well as Kent, Akron, UB, for the same type of player.
Right.
Whereas Monmouth, it's just them.
There's nobody but Monmouth. But Monmouth is the only 1AA school in New Jersey, and
Princeton, but they're national.
Princeton's a national program, but Monmouth gets the next level kid from New Jersey. 75% of that roster is New Jersey, and these kids are pretty. There's no competition for those kids to go anywhere else. They're not going to PSAC schools.
And Rutgers can only offer so many kids.
You're right.
So those kids fall.
Across the river to go to Wagner, but it's a big difference. But good luck. Hope it all works out. They're really starting. The games that they played were very close games.
They were. And listen. They went. I know they played Central Michigan this year, so they took a major step up. They played NCA&T, and then in the conference. Listen, they were in these games. They were in every game. North Alabama, Gardner Webb. They were hanging around. They gave Kennesaw a run.
Good game.
The only game they struggled was Monmouth, but the weather was atrocious. Yeah, they got it. They got in. I saw Elijah put it up on his Instagram. They were coming past Giant Stadium at like 1 a.m. on the way in. I mean, it was.
I know Hampton.
It scored a win against them.
Is an up and coming program, and so is Howard. Those conferences, those schools have leaving the MEAC and going to play a much tougher schedule also. So, not easy games. We've always seen Howard and Howard and those schools play Rutgers and play them tough.
Yeah, listen, they're 3-4 in the conference, 4-1 at home. So they did the job at home.
Absolutely.
Got to find a way next year to win a couple of those road games in this conference.
Right.
I think that's going to be that's an adjustment. You go from taking a bus to Sacred Heart or a bus up, now you're flying. Yeah, you're flying to North Alabama, and the level of competition totally different. Though credit to the offensive line for giving Elijah the opportunities to get loose. He was keyed on. He finished the season with 660 yards after having almost 1,000 last year. These defenses keyed on him.
I actually think that it's going to be better for them to fly because you do have it's a much different type of travel than it is to
get in the day before,
to get in taking a bus to Wagner or taking a bus to Bryant or taking a bus because they weren't flying in the NEC.
Now you have to.
Now you have to, and I think it was kind of crazy to bus to Rhode Island and turn around and bus back the next day, or bus to Staten Island in New Jersey and bus back. the games, it's going to be better for them.
And, Elijah will be here. We thought that this was his COVID year. No, he'll be back next year.
Great. Oh,
so,
they are coming back.
Yeah, he'll be back next year. So,
Excellent.
yeah, Elijah said that he's going to be coming back next year. We thought that the spring counted, and then this was the COVID year. Apparently, they threw the spring out.
For the teams that played in the spring.
Yeah, so he gets one more. He gets one more year.
Great.
So we're excited to be going back to support him again, next year. We're going to wrap up the show now with a little bit of high school football.
Right.
Saturday night, we went to Friday we watched Alderdice and McDowell. I was down there. Alderdice had them. They were up 7-3 at halftime in a good battle. They fumbled the kickoff, and it opened the floodgates where McDowell was able to put 3 scores on them. But it was a good season for Alderdice, City League champions in a year that I don't think anybody expected that to happen, except maybe Coach Hazlitt. But he had a good team. I was very, very impressed with them. And then Saturday night, I mean, what kind of you want to say was the main event of the evening of the sports weekend here in Western Pennsylvania was the Whippeal 6A championship game. Right. And Mount Lebanon just eviscerated Central Catholic. You're talking 47-7. It wasn't even close. No. Central Catholic got the first score. They took the kickoff back and then scored. I think it was 2 plays later. But Mount Lebanon, Bob Palco is such a good coach. He's won. Right. This was his, I believe, 9th Whippeal title. He had a bunch at West Allegheny, and then came back and got this one with a 23 senior class at Mount Lebanon. Mount Lebanon has several Division I players on the roster. I've been very impressed the couple times we've seen Tensha and Heidenreich. The best downhill runner I've seen. You saw it on my video. Mount Lebanon, big game this week with McDowell.
6A, 8 teams left, and Mount Leb, that's on Friday nights at home. Home at Mount Lebanon against McDowell from Erie.
Interesting, too, that they're getting home games.
They're getting a home game, and McDowell, who beat Butler and Alderdice, also trounced Cathedral Prep this year. And Cathedral Prep is a major factor in 5A.
5A, yeah. So
not an easy game. Don't sleep on them, Mount Lebanon, because we've seen McDowell, and they're big school up from Erie, and I do believe Mount Lebanon will win by 10 points to 14 points, but don't fall asleep. McDowell's got a big team, and a couple of big games in 6A this week.
Harrisburg. For the Mount Lebanon folks, it's Harrisburg State College.
Right.
The winner of that game, should Mount Lebanon advance,
right,
that'll be the game the first weekend of December. My guess is that it's going to be Altoona.
Right.
Will probably be where that game is played. Speaking of Cathedral Prep, I know we don't really talk too much about Erie, but Cathedral Prep is playing Imhotep in the quarterfinals of the state tournament. For those of you who don't know where Imhotep Charter is, it's in Philadelphia. So Erie, Philly, western part of the state. Okay, I didn't know that Philadelphia was in the western part of the state, but hey, the PIAA does what the PIAA does, and we'll just
in 5A Moon Penn Trafford.
That's going to be a very good game. Penn Trafford has Cade Yakimelli, who's going to Wisconsin, and Moon's having a fantastic season. This is their best team in quite some time, and the winner of that game, I believe, plays the winner of the District 3 game. That's Governor Mifflin and Exeter. But I like Penn Trafford. Moon coming in off again one of their best seasons in a while, but I like Penn Trafford. I'm gonna stick with Penn Trafford. For
AAA, you have Bell Vernon, Quad A, Bell Vernon, Aliquippa.
Great game. Aliquippa's been kind of under. They're there, but they didn't get the attention this year, because that one conference down there that had TJ, Bell Vernon, McKeesport, and Laurel High. There was a lot of attention paid to that because of those 4 schools, but.
I think the winners goes to the final because Bell Vernon Aliquippa winner gets
Jersey Shore and
Meadville.
Yeah,
I just think the winner is going to steamroll that. This is going to be a heck of a game.
It should be. Aliquippa's off defense against Devin Whitlock, who's again, he's one of those kids. I don't know what Andy and I've said this. I don't know what his grades are like. I hope they're good, but he's the kind of kid who's a Navy quarterback. He's about 5'9", but he's lightning fast. I think he could be a very, very good player.
Right. AAA, Central Valley, North Catholic. Central
book it. Central Valley.
Central
Valley is an unbelievable program. The merger of Center and Monaca area. Right. North Catholic is a growing program, but North Catholic beat Avonworth last week 7-0. Central Valley beat Elizabeth Forward 51-0. Right. Central Valley's going to win this football game.
I think you're going to get a bunch of Whipple teams who win the state championship this year.
I think there could be some Whipple state champions. It's definitely not out of the question. Right. You've got Farrell. They play Carn City. Beaver Falls, Sarah Catholic. Little bit of a surprise. Beaver Falls upset Steel Valley 21-8 to get to the final. Sarah Catholic is, I've said this since I was in college, that Sarah Catholic's a sleeping giant.
Right.
And now that here they are, I believe they're 13-1. Farrell Fisher's going to the Naval Academy. So there's at least 2 players from the Whippeal going to Navy, along with him and Heidenreich.
Sitting on the opposite side is
Southern Columbia. So I mean, essentially, if you win, whoever wins the Whippeal will probably make the state final. Could beat Farrell. I think if Sarah wins, Sarah will beat Farrell. I think Farrell will beat Carn City. Right. Listen, Southern Columbia is going to walk in as the favorite. I don't care who you got number 1 in AA in the state. Southern Columbia is still the favorite until proven otherwise. It's them.
in single A, Bishop Canavan and
Olsh. That's right. So
Our Lady of the Sacred Heart.
The 2 Catholic schools, Olsh with the win over Rochester. That was their second nice win in 2 weeks because they beat Clairton the week before. So that puts 2 Catholic schools in the final. 2 Catholic school programs that were dormant for a while, especially Bishop Canavan, that are now really, really on the rise. Canavan's had 2 very good years in a row. Now, Olsh, power in basketball, but now they've come on in football as well. I like Canavan's offense. I think that it's pretty explosive. Right. So I would give them a slight edge, but don't count out Olsh in that game. And whoever wins that is in the final.
Yeah, I was really shocked at how easily Mount Leb won. But there's a lot of when it comes to the state playoffs. I'm seeing a lot of teams. You just don't know, for how some of these other teams from across the state are. That Old Forge is always good.
Always. Yeah.
Always.
Up in the coal regions.
Prep is always good. So
you
had the coal region teams this year are tough. They play hard-nosed football, and they run.
Yeah.
They run, and they run behind those big linemen. And we've seen it happen where Old Forge and Southern Columbia and those schools from up,
they'll just slam it down your throat.
Yep. They play ball control. So that was a long way to go. And, I may be calling in on one of these because I love Pennsylvania high school football.
And we're entering the time of the year where, as the weather starts to turn, maybe you get some snow or some sleet. The teams that can run the football are favored, and that's where a school like Mount Lebanon, who has a very, very good running back, and not just one, they have other options. Right. You can carry that kind of team through.
Now McDevitt's got a huge line.
McDowell's got a huge
line, and they got their
good running back,
junior, really good linebackers. They got an athletic team, so it's good. That's the game of the week for us to follow. But there's so many good games there in the Whipple. Go out to Heinz Field, go out and check out the games. Go out to Mount Leb on Friday night.
Yeah,
there's some great games out here, and it'll be fun to track all these on Friday night and see what's going on, and catch up next week as to what happened. But I thought the other great thing that happened here with Pittsburgh, with Three Rivers Broadcasting, was the Friday post-game show, which you guys did a tremendous job with.
Yeah,
that was so much fun to listen to you guys.
That started, that kind of started as something we wanted to do. Andy and I weren't sure how to do it,
right? And
how to, specifically after we knew we were going to lose Elijah, was how do we get Jordan involved? And that's where we said, well, let's make it a television show.
Yeah.
And it came off so well. Every week we can't ask for much better than what we had this year, and I'd like to again just say thank you to the whole team for this football season was unbelievable.
Yeah. And what starts soon?
Oh, we go into City League basketball. So that'll be coming. We're only 2 weeks away from the season. So if you would like to be a sponsor for Pittsburgh City League basketball here, go to our website, threeriversbroadcasting.com, and fill out the contact us form on the homepage, and either Coach Krzyzewski or myself will be in touch with you in 24 hours. We are currently seeking title sponsors for the Pittsburgh City League high school basketball season. We'll be doing boys and girls games, and your coverage of that will also be a part of our college basketball coverage as well. So you'll be a basketball sponsor. So broadly, we are looking for basketball sponsors because we're going to do some college stuff as well. But specifically, the vast majority of the coverage is going to be for the Pittsburgh City League.
Right.
So it's been a good show. We got through it.
Thank you.
Just want to very quickly again say thank you to all of our fine sponsors. Guard Market Reported, Gym Rat Performance Training, Lawrence Repair, Pennsylvania Football News, Steel City Grease Traps, Carnegie Ironworks, Mother of Mercy Academy, Waste Management, the Polish Falcons of America, and Quick Drip IV. You could go to our website and get linked to all of them, threeriversbroadcasting.com.
Not bad for a guy who lives in New Jersey, huh?
No, you know your Pittsburgh stuff. Listen, I think
I know more about the Pittsburgh sports
than
football
the New Jersey ones.
New Jersey sports.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you in Jersey this week, it's Bergen Bosco.
Well, at least that game. Your game of the week is Bergen Catholic Don Bosco. That's always the game of the year.
I always throw in my New Jersey team, and my New Jersey team this year that I followed was Cranford High School.
Yeah, the Cougars had a good year, state champions.
They're in one more game, I believe.
The section, yeah,
they play West
like
Morris,
the super sectionals or whatever it is. Yeah.
But the game in New Jersey is
Bergen
Don
and Bosco
Prep and Bergen Catholic, one of the top teams in the country. So it's a lot of fun. I love this stuff. I love the sports, and I can't wait for basketball to start.
All right. Well, we'll make sure we get you out here during basketball season. Want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. God bless. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you here next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.